Yes, guys, welcome back to the instant reaction, the first one of the 24-25 campaign. Arsenal 4 by Leverkusen 1. Not in the Emirates Cup, was it? I think it's just a friendly.
No, this was the Emirates Cup, I'm pretty sure.
Well, we won it. I'll tell you that. What a game to start us off this season of the series of instant reactions. So much to get into, so much to talk about. A really good performance at the Emirates. Really pleased. Welcome back, everyone in the chat. Thank you guys so much for being here. I will be here after every single game live for half an hour. So make sure you make us your sort of post-game destination. Please make sure you like the video and subscribe. All that sort of good stuff. We'll come to comments and all sort of stuff later. So make sure you get comments and we'll come to as many as we can. 4-1. Giorgione managed to catch the first half, but what a first half it was.
Brilliant.
Where should we start? I mean, I want to come to the players sort of on an individual basis. I want to come to sort of a number of things. We can start here. I was really impressed with the runs from midfield. I think sort of maybe the overall feeling for me is the coaching is the win. It just kind of reminded me of how good we are. And obviously we spend all summer going, oh, we need this player, we need that player, we need we need this on whatever. And I'm not necessarily saying any of those are untrue, but I think it's so nice to watch us against the German champions who just won the double, who are invincible, who are, by the way, 2 games into their season, and they start their season at the same time as us. So I think there's this sort of sense from the commentators that they were saying, oh, they might be a little bit behind. No, they've already played preseason games. They're at the same stage as us. And by the end, they had more experience, way more experience on the field than us. So I'm so pleased with that performance. George, I'll start with you. Overall thoughts.
I had one comment on X. We are the best out of possession team in the world, bar none, and it's not even close. And, I think one thing that we can't discount is Bayer Leverkusen were the kings of central progression in Europe all of last year. I don't know about you guys, they didn't get a sniff. I've never seen
most progressive passes in Europe.
I've never seen Bayern so impotent in terms of their central progression, mate. This press from Arsenal is suffocating. It really is the MVP. We sit there and we talk about players, we talk about quality, we talk about things that we need to add to the squad, but we sometimes forget our MVP is not a player. It is our out of possession work. Yep. We are the best out of possession team in Europe, bar none. And just the distances, how compact we are, how amazing everybody is in terms of the cover shadow. It's frightening. That was the best that I've seen us look all preseason. And it was no coincidence to me that I feel that we've turned it up because we're preparing for the season. We're getting ready for Wolves, but there was just a level of absolute dominance. It looked like we little brothered them in terms of the level. We really showed them the distance in terms of where you need to get to if you're going to compete with Arsenal out of possession. Yeah. And in possession, it wasn't just that. I felt like we had some really interesting things that we did in terms of accessing the middle of the park, particularly with how we used Jorginho and Zinchenko in the left center back position, forcing Gabriel out wide in first build-up. I think that was a really interesting tweak that not a lot of people were talking about, that I felt like was coming as part of this team, where you see this almost libero position from defensive midfield that drops into the center back, forces Gabriel out wide, which, by the way, is where he defends best and technically can still make use of his between-the-line passing, but doesn't give him the responsibility. Now, guys, start to get excited because replace Declan Rice, Calafiori. That's when you start saying, okay, this could go up a level, and you already see it. So from my perspective, I thought Kai Havertz was brilliant. Again, I can only talk about the first half because unfortunately for work, I couldn't catch the secondness, but I thought he was brilliant all game. I thought Gabby Jesus was effervescent, physically looked very good. Still think I don't see, even on his goal, I didn't see that peak acceleration that I see during Leicester, but that turn, that agility on the half turn is
tried
there.
To flick it over someone's head. Did you see it? I can't remember if it's first or second half, but I was like, that's Gabby Jesus is back.
But you know what I loved about it is I just felt like the endeavor and his willingness to take on players is there. The bravery is there. And, when you start to go through the 11, I don't think it was just them. I just think in general, Arsenal squeezed the pitch like nobody else. I felt like, again, Bayer Leverkusen were searching for a way all half to get through the middle. The only response they had was to isolate Frimpong against Zinchenko 1v1 and hope that he beats him for speed and then crosses in the box. And I think they only did that twice, and really none offered a really significant shot on goal. So yeah, from my perspective, I was beaming. I thought this was the best performance I've seen all of preseason. And Mikel Arteta deserves praise, mate, because I hated the commentary about where Leverkusen were at preseason. Make no mistake about it. This was one of the best teams in Europe last year, and we made them look like children.
Yeah, the out possession stuff was unbelievable. Bhavs, we are so back. We are so back. We look so good, man. I completely echo George's comments about the out possession stuff. It's so to see us with the snap. Do you know what? The one thing I noticed today as well is the usage of momentum, especially both in and out of possession, using other players' bodies to go past you and create a moment. Miles Lewis-Skelly's so good at it, throwing a feint, asking you to go past him in possession as well. It's so the little details, the stepping up in the press, the intensity, the aggression, the execution. It's all so good. This is one of those games where people will go, "Wait, are Bayer Leverkusen that good?" Yes, yes, they are.
It's only pre-season. Look out! Look out! It's only pre-season. You're right. This is a team that conceded, I think I saw a stat, 15 open play goals last season, the best in Europe. And we were 2-0 up in 10 minutes. So it's a very good sign. Very good sign, especially how fluid you are, how the rotations are working around, and ultimately, how every single player, without any new signings coming in, looks comfortable. They know exactly where to be, and they're so fluid in terms of positional rotations as well. Havertz can play in midfield and play up front and be just as effective as well. There's just so many things to look at, and it looks like a team that just completely understands their manager now. Because all these players have had over a year of experience, and even the youngsters coming in, Lewis-Skelly, Wanyeri specifically, very impressive. They look exactly in place, and they're people that we can use this season and profiles we can add to the team, almost like new signings, which again is just very exciting. But yeah, Kai in midfield was very impressive in the first few minutes, getting 2 assists straight away, and Trossard's technical ability as well. I mean, when he turns it on, I think he's our best technical player. He's just honestly such a pleasure to watch, and I think ultimately that first half was very exciting, but the second half again we were at times a bit defensive, but ultimately got the job done, 4 goals to 1, and we made a side look that we saw obviously invincible last year look like nothing. And we're going to get comments that it's just pre-season, but we're going to start.
Care.
We're going to start the season.
Right now. I don't care.
We're going to start the season in just over a week's time, so it looks good to see that we're ready. And we can take on a side of that caliber and just play them off the park in the first half.
This had the game was over. Yeah, 6-0 against one of the best.
That's what I was. That's the vibe I got.
Yeah, it was giving Sevilla, wasn't it? There was a carnival atmosphere. I will say as well. Yeah. Also, Bhavs, you made a good point about the young players, and the way I know that the Arteta DNA is kind of being encoded is I start to know what they're about to do. With Miles, I was like, he's going to tuck inside here. With Ethan, I'm like, he's going to slow and he's going to play that pass into Saka in the channel there. Or he's going to tuck himself back and play near side. And then it's a question of... You start to just go, I know what he's going to do. I know what he's going to do. It's so...
And then it's, can he do it? And they can. And Miles' use of his body is insane. Yeah. When he's at 17, the way he's able to just get in between... I know he's a midfielder by trade and you can see it as well, but just a few little tweaks and a bit more confidence on the ball and he's going to be zinging passes in behind all the time.
There's also with young players as well. I think sometimes they might have a good frame or a good a good capacity, but they don't always know how to get themselves out of trouble. And he does. There was a moment with Havertz where he got himself into trouble, but then he could actually wrestle himself out. And at 17, it's unbelievable. George, you didn't see the Miles Lewis-Skelly masterclass, but I'm imploring you to go and watch that second half. You've been calling for this man for many, many years. Talk about Miles. I know you didn't see the game, but you know what his qualities are.
Look, I think when you look at Miles, you're getting a player that quality-wise will smack you in the face. I think from Ethan, you see it, but you see it in a much more reserved, composed manner, and you see the quality in moments. Miles will hit you in the head. I think he's somebody that forces the issue. He's not somebody that waits for the game to come to him. He will take himself to the game, and he's somebody that provides a level of just vertical intent from deep that really not many people in the squad have, period. It's not even just, a kind of a difference in youngsters or in quality, but we don't have that in the back line. So obviously when someone shows it to you, you sit there and you say, wow, this kid is giving us something that the team doesn't have. And I do think it was significant for him to come on instead of Zinchenko. I think that you're looking at yourself and you're saying, this is a boy that physically is able to complete.
It's a vote of confidence.
It is a vote of confidence. And you know what? I've always said, people keep telling me that these kids are short and are they physically ready? I don't know about you. I didn't see it this game, but I'm telling you, I've seen it against adults. Miles Lewis-Skelly bullies adults. And can't confirm it in this game. You guys will tell me if I'm wrong, but when you see he's doing it.
When you see the comp later, the amount of times he pulls himself out of zones, he holds off contact, he deals with contact. He's ready. Moving forward to pick out anyway. It's so nice we talk about Arsenal live games again. It's so good. It's so good.
Kai deserves his own segment. Personally,
I was about to mention
was
Kai
fantastic.
Havertz. Yeah, I was about to say Kai Havertz. I think the usage, we're all looking for, okay, how do we fix the left-hand side? If Kai Havertz can maximise that run in behind to stretch the last line and allow the space in behind for Martinelli, the cutback he delivers for Trossard, the usage of that space, the timing of his runs in behind, Bhavs, there's a really, really special player developing there with Kai Havertz, and someone who can be effective in both. Again, it's not midfield. It's probably the highest midfielder and also the deepest attacker.
Yeah.
Somewhere in there, it doesn't matter what game it is. He's going to affect play. He's unbelievable.
It's typical Mikel Arteta. I think to be an Arteta player now, you have to be comfortable in multiple zones. You can't just be just a midfielder, just a striker, and that's what Havertz is. And I think even his physicality keeps catching people off by surprise. There was that battle he had with Tar in the second half where the ball's gone long and he's just held him off. And this is a 6'4" tank of a centre back, and Havertz just bullying him to one side. And this is what I'm talking about. There's just so much potential there. And now with the extra confidence and just the extra know-how of how to play a Mikel Arteta system, I honestly think we could see an explosion this year. And depending on where he starts, playing up front, he's going to score a lot of goals. Even the goal he scored, a poacher's instinct to just get back in. Lovely assist from Granit Xhaka, which I appreciate. I think there's a lot of reasons to be excited about Kai Havertz. And I think comparing him to how he was last year, this time where he was a bit more, not knowing where to be, a bit lack of confidence. I think now you can see straight away he knows exactly what to do. It's all automatic to him, and with the extra physicality he has, anyways, there's a lot of things to be excited about.
Look, I think one of the biggest. I just really want to jump in because we need to look at what made Kai Havertz successful even in this match as a left eight. And I maintain it's the stretching, it's the penetrative dynamism that he offers on the ball. But you've got to look at the makeup of the team. You've got to look at the fact that Zinchenko, Jorginho are in this team, in addition to a false nine and Gabriel Jesus. When you pack the squad with, as well as Trossard, that entire side was filled with combination small associative players. And you're getting the ball high up the pitch, and he's not responsible in the first or the second phase. If he's able to sit there and ghost off the back line, you're going to see a left eight Kai Havertz that is, in essence, a second striker and is going to fundamentally dominate the box in terms of how he arrives. And so I think we saw this consistently in terms of ghosting in behind the last line, ghosting beyond delivering for a cross. That, for me, is the best use of Kai Havertz. If you ask him to be somebody that's dominant in possession, you're not going to see a Kai Havertz that's going to thrive. And I think out of possession, he was brilliant. There were tons of moments in which he's defending in a block, and he's really physically able to sit there and pressure you in midfield. And I think he's really been able to do that brilliantly. But for me, what made it brilliant this match was, again, the space, the fact that he's able to really stretch those lines. And I think it really works, particularly with mid blocks and people that have a higher line. When you see a more low block situation, Kai Havertz needs to be in the striker position. I think this, for me, is the delineation between how you get Kai Havertz to thrive and maybe falter. If you want to use him as an 8, it must be in mid-block situations that you surround him with small associative players so that he's not involved in build-up. If you can get the ball from the first third into the middle third and let Kai Havertz stretch the pitch from the middle third to the final third, he's going to succeed, whether he's a center forward or whether he's a left 8. Now, if you're facing a low block for me, I think that cuts the space for him to run into, and therefore let him be a center forward that's free and can facilitate either side of the pitch. That, for me, has got to be the smart play that Mikel uses to maximize him going forward.
He moves lines. That's what he does. And I think a few people in the comments coming after me with my take on the pod on Monday. My point was not that I want to use Kai Havertz as a deeper midfielder. My point is I think he can do both. But I think I agree with your take in the sense that in these sorts of games, I think he's so good at stretching that last line. It's the timing. I think sometimes you can make the runs in behind and you aren't found, or you make the run and it's not particularly effective. Every run he makes moves lines around. It's so impressive.
We saw it for the third goal, innit? With Jesus, where he gets space to shoot at the edge of the box. Havertz makes that running behind to open up more space.
Yeah. It's so nice. It's so nice. Let's just do one more thing before we come to sort of the individual players as well. Yeah, I want to talk as well about fluidity, like White filling in for Martin. George and I did a rewatch for patrons and YouTube members earlier on about Aston Villa. we're talking about the sort of space usage for Martin Odegaard. White filling in for Martin Odegaard as he's dropping out the block was so nice. Jorginho again dropping in between the three. Zinchenko drifting in. Trossard pulling back. Everyone's just, it's that one brain football that I just absolutely love.
I mean, I don't know about you if you were going to plan on it, but there should be a Zinchenko thought, and I kind of wanted to throw it back to you. Look, he is a player that gets justified criticism, but for me, he had a really good game.
We'll come to him in the individual play. We'll come to each individual player. The goals. My only criticism is of their goalkeeper, who wasn't great.
Especially on the Jesus goal, that's so poor.
Yeah, it's pretty poor. Anything else before we sort of jump into the individual player ratings and so on?
I'll be honest, I was just so happy with the amount of central progression that we were able to show.
Oh. Yeah, I agree, George. Whatever. Yeah, tactics. What's the field tilt? Has Scott got it? We're back.
He does it every season. Oh, he has.
We're back.
So, to find out the field tilt, check out on Patreon.
No.
Oh, it's not.
Lads, we lost on field. What was the point?
Yeah. I'm not surprised. It's weird because we had, at halftime, the Arsenal pundit did say, Arsenal president was like, we had a lot of the ball. I'm like, did we have a lot of the ball? Because I know Leverkusen had a lot of possession, and that's why I'm not surprised to see them have a lot of field tilt.
By the way, 4 goals from 1.7 XG. But we lost on field tilt, so literally pointless. Let's just have a look at the other stats.
You've chosen the right half to watch then, guys, haven't I?
Exactly. Arsenal 1.7 expected goals to Bayers 0.6, 9 shots to their 7, 44.1% possession to their 55.9. They had way more final third entries. We created more expected threat. Yeah, I thought it would be more even than that, to be honest. But I see that. I think the second half probably affected that quite a bit.
Yeah. Not even in the first half. I think it was just a lot of Arsenal playing very well in transition and capitalising in the first 10 minutes because Leverkusen kept the ball very nicely. But what
I wish that they could do, though, I think ideally if you could almost pair field tilt with like the touches in the box, because field tilt is really just dangerous territory.
Don't criticize field tilt. What are you doing?
We don't.
What are you doing? Get off the pod.
Oh, yeah, cheers.
No,
strike one.
These things all have to be contextualized, apart from field tilt, which is the most important stat in the world. Okay, let's go through the players. We probably can't do every single person who featured, so maybe let's do 2 each before we come to some questions and so on towards the end. I'll start with Fabio Vieira. I thought Fabio Vieira. The one thing I will say is physically, I think people are looking. Basically, people are waiting for him to get on the dumbbells and look like Jesus. It's not going to happen. But what I think you can expect physically from Fabio Vieira is, or what I have seen maybe, is a development of, I don't know how, probably someone more physically with more knowledge than me would be able to describe it better, but it's like the fast twitch stuff. He looks a bit quicker in his actions. Sometimes there was, I think beforehand, a sort of a technical, not laziness, but there's a looseness to him that I think is slightly tuned up physically, I think, in this game. However, I'll be honest, I didn't feel like he affected the game loads. It's very hard as well because, for example, like Carl Hein in preseason, we're comparing him to David Raya, and similarly, we're comparing to Bukayo Saka. It's kind of not fair in terms of affecting games because Bukayo Saka is the most effective right winger, arguably, in the world. So yeah, it's hard. I think he did okay. I wasn't massively impressed, but equally, it wasn't a disaster. So I think it was okay. But I will say on the physical side, I think the tune-up for me, and I'm going to look for this over the course of the season, is he looks quicker in his actions. He looks to be getting the ball up his feet quicker. He looks like he can move his feet a bit faster. That looks like it's changed for me physically with Fabio Vieira. But yeah, I thought it was fine. Bhavs, come to you. Who do you want to take?
Leandro Trossard. I think he was sensational, honestly. Pleasure to watch. That's the type of footballer that gets fans very excited to watch inside the stadium, and that's what I like to see the most. He's so technically gifted in tight spaces, and we're going to face a lot of low blocks. Let's face it, Arsenal going to get a lot of respect, and his profile is going to be so important. He played a lot of the game as well. I think played for like 80, 85 minutes. So that's a sign of how much Mikel Arteta trusts him. Maybe we see even start the first game of the season against the Wolves. With Gabriel Martinelli there as well off the bench, I don't think it's a bad option to have, and it's kind of crazy that we can even bench Martinelli. But I think Trossard again in this game was just technically superb, and the goal he scored, I mean, the composure, just the cut in, just flash it in the corner. Yeah, honestly, insane.
He's our most composed box presence in the squad, bar none.
Yeah, he is. He's lethal. He's ruthless. That's what I like the most. He's a player that I would hate to play as an Arsenal fan if he was playing against us, because he definitely scored against us.
He's so mature as a player. Just notice we have some super chats. We'll come to them just after this. George, your player, please.
I have to take Zinchenko. I think we've covered Kai Havertz like well enough, but look, this is a player that, again, I will repeat, gets due criticism. It's not that it's come out of nowhere, but I just thought in this match he was brilliant. He really was. There was a level of technical authority that he showed from deep build-up, and again, we kind of touched on it earlier in the stream. I encourage everybody to go back and watch that first half and see what we're doing with our left back as well as DM in terms of where we're putting them in build-up and how Gabriel is no longer somebody that's going to be the second receiver. Gabriel was pushed wide, which is where Gabriel needs to be, especially if you're talking from a technical perspective. If he loses the ball, it's a lot easier to defend that wide channel. And we were just so smart about giving them the keys not to invert high in midfield, but to drop next to Saliba and be the one dictating. And I felt like that was a masterstroke, whether it was Zinchenko or Jorginho, who both, by the way, shared that responsibility. But as opposed to being the left back that comes from wide up into the center, it was somebody from the center that dropped deep and pushed Gabriel wide. And I thought that was just a really smart understanding of your technical limits in the back line. And I could just get excited, like I said, when you introduce Calafiori in there, and you start to understand what that could look like. I get excited. So yeah, I thought he was brilliant, and he took his goal brilliantly as well. Like that strike is very, very clean. And I just thought even in areas in the final third, he was really quick and decisive. I didn't see the slow recycling Zinchenko. I saw the, oh crap, I may not play. So let me be punchy, quick, decisive,
Reminder
find people. Fans. It was a little bit of a reminder. And it's Zinchenko in this form. Zinchenko able to do this is an asset.
Yeah, 100%.
And 100%. I thought even defensively he was good as well. I think he did a very good job against Frimpong. There's moments where you're going to get caught out. There's a physical gap, but generally speaking, he was quick. He didn't let people have a lot of time on the wings, which was really what he needs to do. It's his anticipation that gets him to players. So yeah, I thought Zinchenko did a very good job and deserves praise.
Yeah, in the air, he's always been good defensively. It was good today. I'm going to go with a bit of a rogue one. I'm going to go with Josh Nichols. It's not a player I know particularly well, but there was a moment where in the second half where he was running downhill. It was really nice to see that there's an acceleration, there's a bravery to him. The size is not a concern. It's a concern in the sense of that's not a Mikel-sized defender, so I don't quite know where normally. So I don't quite know how he fits in. But in terms of the running power, he slowed himself. He made the right decision to play in Saka. Had a couple of nice moments dealing with their left wing. I can't remember the guy's name. I thought it was really good. I just never seen him before. So I was I've seen him in the preseason games, but this is the first time I've properly seen him and sort of taken note of him properly within a game. Yeah, looking forward to see how he develops. I love when players come out of nowhere and kind of go, oh, like no, I certainly am George. I'm sure
fun little tidbit. The one goal that Timber marked his return with, that he was top corner in the left 8. It was Josh Nichols who fed him the pass on the inside that a lot of people were unsure of.
That's the Arsenal youth nerd in you. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to see how that develops, because also I think specifically in that position, you're looking at kind of the Ben White replacement or whatever, and it's all kind of, it's more players who I think are slightly better on the inside, or maybe don't have the same type of running power. I mean, Ben on the overlap, the fact that guy used to be a centre back, it just boggles the mind. So if we do have someone who is a bit more of a running profile, I think that could be really, really useful.
Kajioli 2.0. Who needs him when you've got somebody like Josh Nichols?
There you go. Bhavs.
Ethan Wanyeri again, little cameo. Looks sharp, razor sharp, playing on the right-hand side for Odegaard's role this time around. Just shows how versatile he is. He can play left and right. Combining with Bukayo Saka, 2 Hill end players. Again, fantastic to see. And I think, he just looks so technically sound that he can be one of our creative hubs. They can play deeper, drop off, and help in the build-up phase. But in the final third, be very sharp. He's very quick, like deceptively quick, and very sharp in terms of how he plays his passes going forward. So I'm intrigued to see how Mikel Arteta uses him, because I'm telling you, in certain game states, he will bring him on. And at 17, for him to do that is, there was a lot of hype when he came for it at 15, just how Mikel's using it to make a statement for Hill and players. But no, this guy is technically very, very good. And I'm very intrigued to see how Mikel Arteta integrates him into the first team this year, because I think his profile is something that's just something going to be very, very useful.
Georgia boy?
Yeah, I think I'll talk about Saliba in general. Look, this guy, nobody talks about him, but he's hilarious.
He's boring, man. Just get rid of him.
He's so boring.
He's good.
Let's
just not talk about him. So no Real Madrid fans talk about him.
Imagine trying to press Saliba. Let's just feel. What's the
We need
point?
to downplay him now. You know that.
Yeah,
because-
sorry, no, yeah, actually, George,
Yeah,
you can't.
I
You can't
think he needs to improve. I think he needs another couple years under Mikel
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah.
Do you know how crazy it is that you have a inevitability that when that boy is in the duels, you're like, okay, what's the next pass? Because
Yeah.
he's going to win it. Like, there's no debate
Yeah.
about that. So I just thought for him to come so late into preseason, by the way, he's one of the few that just slots in and has never left. And yeah, mate, he is a special boy. He's going to cement himself as the best center back in the world if he's not already the best center back in the world. I mean, I think Arsenal fans believe it, but I think the world. This guy's come back from the World Cup, and he's come back late. One of the few that have come back late. The Euros, and he just looks like he hasn't left at all. He looks like, I don't know, that he's been there all preseason and he's just making the right decisions. And I just think that he's so critical to what we can do out of possession, because Bayer Leverkusen were forced to go long, and the way that both Gabriel and Saliba just hit people, and that long ball over the top is just not something that we have to worry about, and it's so nice to see.
It's so nice. Just thinking about like the mental profiles at the back, if you can set up with Saliba, White, Calafiori, and Timber, just from like a coolness perspective, and just a pure calm. Like obviously, Gabriel's got a little bit more of the sort of the fight or whatever. Not to say he isn't cool at times, but mate, and I think that's also probably why Mikel likes and trusts Smiles, because I think from a sort of character perspective, that's probably makes sense. Yes. Come on, 1.3k live viewers on an 18k subs channel is crazy. It is crazy, guys. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. We really love doing these instant reactions. They're a good way of sort of interacting with you guys. So get your comments in when it comes to as many as we can in the last minutes of the show. Yeah, we'll do the super chats in just a sec. But yeah, make sure you gently caress the like button. How about that? Let's do the super chats. Thank you guys so much. Nathan Piper, thoughts on City's second striker search affecting us? How have they sold their second striker for £92 million?
There must be something dodgy involved. Sure.
There's some judge. I don't know about it really affecting us, because Arsenal in theory should be looking for a marquee as opposed to maybe a second striker. But I do think it potentially injects a lot of money into the marketplace, and obviously you're looking at the Atletico Madrid. I think we already saw the effect personally for me. I mean, it's what's given Chelsea a Marojan, who you could say in theory blocks the pursuit of Chelsea to Osimhen, so indirectly, potentially. But I think, like, in terms of what City will do going forward, I think that's everybody's guess. Like, do they split it between two first team options, or go for one big one in terms of Bruno Guimaraes versus maybe Eze plus Neto? Like, what option do you take if you're City? And in that way could maybe affect Arsenal, but I don't think it really affects our forward search as much.
Yeah, not directly. I think it might have an impact on the, like I'm looking at like Solanke going to, I think we spoke about this on the pod on Monday, right? Like, we're seeing movement in that sort of area. And I think things like Wahi's leaving, or so I saw something about him today.
He can't. They actually they denied it because Lens said they're not selling him for anything over 35 million euros because they bought him for 30 million euros. So why would they not? So they've been categorically denied.
I think the report was he wants the move. That's what it was.
But yeah, I think regardless, there's movement in the market now, and I think I suspect Eddie will move fairly soon. We'll obviously discuss that as and when it happens. Josh Miller, Arsenal fans watching our transfer window.
Yeah,
Arsenal fans watching us play.
I saw a tweet about that. It's true though, isn't it? Because it's a reminder. It's a reminder of how good his team is. That no signings, by the way, today. No new signings whatsoever.
Do you guys want to talk about Kivior? I feel like I can't ignore the comments. Everybody wants to talk about Kivior.
We want to talk Kivior.
I can't really comment too much, but what did you guys feel about Kivior's performance generally?
Sorry, just quickly, because we've just had another. Is this a super chat, or what is that?
It's a member. He's been a member for 5 months, I think.
Shout you out, Alejandro. What a man. Alejandro. Thoughts on Boniface? He was on the bench, wasn't he?
Came on the second half, fine a few minutes.
I think he's a very good player. I think he's just different. He's a different type of player, I think, to Osimhen, generally speaking. I think he's actually a little bit more complete in deeper areas, but maybe not as potent in the channels. But he's a very good player.
Better emotional. You are emotional about Jakub Kivior. What I find interesting is where he plays.
This is John,
which is on the right-hand side.
Kiwior.
Go on.
Look, I
Okay.
think Kivior's had a
What's the
really
next
good.
word going to be? Chelsea.
But I mean, again, the problem is we're at a position in the squad where we're comparing him to Saliba, we're comparing right wingers to Saka, so it's hard to always compare. But I just think it does limit us slightly in the build-up. But I don't hate it. I do prefer Kivior central. I can't lie. I think he looks more secure there.
There's been a lot of talk of him leaving, right?
Preseason.
And I'm not sure if he will. I'm not sure if he will. I remember speaking to someone behind the scenes at Arsenal, and I asked him, like, so what happens with Kivior now? And he said, look, Mikel wants 8 defenders. And he's one of the 8 defenders. And unless he wants to promote Miles in part of that group, which I don't know if he will, then Kivior stays.
But I think he wants 8 senior defenders, like you said, and it makes sense. I mean, Kivior, for me, has genuine versatility at right center back. I don't love him there, but he's absolutely done very well there. He's shown an ability to do it. He's shown an ability to be central center back. There are games for Jakub Kivior. I think the only reason people can contemplate selling him is because there's this idea or insistence that we need to sell a defender, and he has the most interest. Not whether or not, for me, he's capable of contributing to the squad. I think he's had a really good preseason. He's actually, ironically, looked very sharp to me. I can't say on this half because I wasn't able to see the second half, but even in previous games, I thought Kivior was one of our better players at right center back. So I thought he performed very well.
Yeah, he's just a little bit limited there, but that's, again, comparing it to Saliba, not to labour the point. Also, but to me, as I say, the more interesting part is that Mikel is playing to him a wrong-footed player there. I'd love someone to ask him about that because
I think it shows his confidence. Personally,
he so rarely does that. Like he's so rarely, I don't think he's ever put Gabriel on the right hand side. I don't think he's ever put Zinchenko on the right hand side. Like he's so rarely does it. So I'd love someone to ask him about that.
To be honest, I think not to like kind of quote something that I said last year, but remember when I was talking about how fluid Kivior receives, and there's a joke about his hips.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I do think that's a major. They don't lie, and I think that's a major reason for why he feels comfortable to place a wrong-footed center back on the opposite side, because Kivior is brilliant at receiving any side. I don't think that he's got really that angle bias, and he is starting to be a lot more confident. So for me, I think he was brilliant in the previous game. I think Kivior offers you something at central center back as well as right center back.
Oh yeah. But I meant centrally, as centrals, the two Gabriel or Saliba.
We even had Tomiyasu.
Let's do a couple more questions. Let's do 2 more, maybe even 3 more before we finish. So guys, get your comments and questions in. Preferably not about selling defenders, which seems to be what everyone wants to talk about. People saying sell Tomiyasu. Yeah, that's what we're referring to. That he's given him a run there, and he's put him there again today, which I think is an interesting one. Where was Timber? Dead.
I mean, we had.
Go on, George. Do your rant. I know what you're gonna say.
I'm just gonna say that people need to calm down, think a little bit. There was nothing wrong with his ACL recovery, and it comes down to having a load after a long time out. Okay, you're going to have some pain. There was all completely precautionary. I think, I don't want to butcher his name, but there's the one Arsenal correspondent at Khaki Football London who's confirmed.
Wait, no. Sorry. Say that one more time. Say that one more time.
Pause.
Oh God, I'm breaking.
Yeah. What was his name?
Kaya something.
It's because you helped me say it.
No, what did he say?
Khaki.
But even beyond it, just logically speaking, he's going, when you're talking about a load-bearing injury, I'm just going to say from like a medical perspective, he's been out, and his intensity in terms of being up so soon is going to develop some load-bearing issues. Like, I encourage everybody to not run for 2 weeks and then run one time, and I guarantee that you're going to feel something. And so this was just precautionary for me.
What about my option of having not run since I was about 7? How about that? How do you think I feel? Khaki, there's lots of shouts for the Khaki.
I'm going to call him Khaki next time I see him.
Robbie from AFTV versus Bhavs from Canon UFC 422.
He would. Have you seen the size of Robbie?
Isn't he quite short?
No. Robbie.
I thought Robbie's was quite short.
Robbie's a unit.
My mate said he saw him in our local Sainsbury's.
Well, your mate might be 7'5". Robbie's
is Robbie a big guy? In fairness, Bhavs, most people are quite big to you.
But he's really big. And he's actually, not going to say that, but he's really big.
He's very tall.
There's been so many pause moments on this pod.
Yeah.
Let's do one more question from Cooler Dude 42. Says thoughts on Partey. Didn't look very sharp again.
He was alright. I don't think he didn't look poor, did he?
I would say he wasn't as poor as he was. Who was it against in the Liverpool game? He just looks a little bit like one of the youth players.
And he came up with youth players as well, right at the end.
Yeah, in terms of that could have been skewing my view on it. He just looks a little bit indecisive, a little bit unsure of his body, a little bit rushed, and that sort of the maturity and the dexterity and the calm of Thomas Partey that you remember from the 22-23 season. It's there in flashes, but it's just not. It's not fully there.
He's always been a rhythm player. So when he's ever come back from an injury, even prior to last year, he takes time to get into it. And there's also questions about, can he play as a 6 straight away? But then he kind of plays like 5-10 games, and he's like, by like game 5-6, you're like, okay, this guy's very good again. And I think unless we play him, we're not going to see that rhythm straight away. And he's not a player that I expect to come off the bench and impact games like that either. But yeah, I don't think he's a rhythm right now, and he hasn't been all preseason.
Nearly 1,500 viewers on a pre-season live is absolutely crazy. So thank you guys so much. Really appreciate it. We'll be back for another instant reaction after. I won't be there because I'll be at the game, but you will be there.
I mean, I should be at the game.
Link up.
This guy should. No,
I should have been there right now. Maybe I was at the game. I just teleported back.
Moving on. I'm going to be able to stag do. So I'm going to be. I think I'm at club level, by the way. Jeez. So I'll be there. So
stag do at the Emirates Stadium.
George will be doing. It's part of the stag do. George will be doing the live on his own. Am I terrified about him not pressing go live? A little bit.
Or pronouncing journalist names.
Calling him Kaki Kanya, whatever his name was. Iñaki Kanya.
Listen.
Iñaki Kanya, the right of football.
I'm going to channel my inner technological genius and just have that come out. For
just make sure I can imagine George doing an entire live stream and going, "Oh, then press live."
Yeah, but he knows ball. We've all got our strengths and weaknesses.
Where's the comments? Comments, where are you?
Pleasure as always. Thank you guys so much for being here. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you check out the pod we did it was Tuesday, yesterday. George and I did a rewatch of the Villa game from last season, which was really interesting, a little bit earlier on today, looking at our sort of issues in that game. And actually, we were quite surprised by how good we were. Bhavs, live show Friday.
Friday, 6 p.m. Special
and then we'll be back for an instant reaction on Sunday. Thanks for sticking with us on the Cannon podcast. Check out these boys on X and so forth. Thanks everyone for being here. And thanks for keeping it Arsenal.
Peace.